There's a drug in your drink, the black waitress whispered. She unknowingly saved the most dangerous Korean mafia boss in the city, who will change her life forever. Georgia Price had learned three things working at the Velvet Room. Rich people tipped poorly, drunk men had wandering hands, and Trouble always wore expensive suits. Tonight, Trouble sat at table 7 in a black Tom Ford jacket with a dragon tattoo curling up his neck. Korean, maybe 28, with sharp cheekbones that could cut glass and eyes that tracked every movement in the room like a predator calculating distance to prey. She'd been watching him for 20 minutes, professional hazard of being a cocktail waitress in LA's most exclusive lounge. Watching meant survival, meant knowing which customer would grab your ass versus which would leave you alone, meant reading the room so you could avoid becoming collateral damage when egos clashed and bottles became weapons. Ham Sung-min, she'd heard the hostess whisper his name with reverence and fear, sat with three men. Two were clearly bodyguards, muscle wrapped in designer labels. The third was different, older, refined, with silver threading his temples and a smile that never reached his eyes. They were drinking Macallan 25, the $2,000 bottle, like it was water. Georgia approached with their fourth round. Tray balanced perfectly despite the 6-inch heels management required. "Gentlemen," she said, setting down glasses with practiced efficiency. The dragon tattoo man, Sung Min, glanced at her with eyes so dark they seemed black in the dim lighting. For half a second his gaze lingered, not in the usual way men looked at her, cataloging her body in that invasive assessment she'd grown numb to. This was different, curious, almost respectful. "Thank you," he said, accent subtle but present, voice surprisingly soft for someone radiating controlled violence. The older man, seated to his left, smiled at Georgia with too many teeth. "Beautiful and efficient. Sung-min Si should hire you instead of these useless guards." The bodyguard behind Sung-min, tall, Korean, with a scar bisecting his eyebrow, didn't react to the insult. But Georgia saw his hand twitch toward his jacket, saw something flicker across his face. Recognition, anticipation. She'd worked in service long enough to read micro-expressions, the tiny tells that separated good customers from dangerous ones. As she turned to leave, Georgia saw it. The scarred bodyguard pulled a small vial from his pocket, movement so quick she almost missed it, and tipped something into Sung-min's fresh drink while the older man kept talking, demanding Sung-min's attention. The liquid dissolved instantly, leaving no trace. Georgia's heart slammed against her ribs. She'd seen enough crime documentaries, enough late-night news reports about drug drinks and powerful men found dead in expensive hotels. Her mama's voice echoed in her head. "Not your business, baby girl. Rich people problems stay rich people problems. You keep your head down and come home safe." But Georgia had never been good at minding her own business, had gotten suspended in high school for reporting the football coach who was sleeping with students, had lost a previous waitressing job for telling the owner his partner was embezzling, had a stubborn streak her mama called righteous stupidity that consistently put her in situations she should have avoided. She watched Sung-min reach for the poisoned glass, watched his fingers close around crystal worth more than her monthly rent. And before she could stop herself, before survival instinct could override conscience, Georgia moved. "Excuse me," she said, voice low as she leaned close to Sung-min's ear, acutely aware of every eye suddenly on her. "There's a drug in your drink." Then she straightened, pulse thundering, and walked away like she'd just asked if he needed more ice. The silence behind her was absolute. Georgia forced herself to keep moving, to not look back, to maintain the facade of casual professionalism, even as adrenaline flooded her system. She'd either just saved a man's life or signed her own death warrant, possibly both. She made it to the bar before a hand closed around her wrist. Not rough, but immovable. Georgia turned to find Sung-min standing there, the drugged glass in his other hand. Up close, he was devastating. Sharp jaw, full lips, and those eyes that seemed to see straight through her practiced service smile to the terrified woman beneath. "You're certain?" he asked quietly. Around them, the lounge continued its rhythm of clinking glasses and muted conversation, but Georgia felt like they existed in a bubble of stillness. "I saw your bodyguard, the one with the scar. He put something in your drink while the other man was talking." Georgia kept her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her. "Small vial, clear liquid, dissolved immediately." Something dangerous flickered across Sungmin's face. Not anger, colder than that. Calculation. He released her wrist and lifted the glass to his nose, inhaling carefully. Then he smiled, and Georgia understood why people feared him. It wasn't the expression of someone amused. It was the smile of a predator who just confirmed which prey had betrayed the pack. "What's your name?" he asked. "Georgia. Georgia Price." "Georgia." The way he said it, with that slight accent turning the syllables into music, sent unexpected warmth through her chest. "You just saved my life, thank you." He glanced past her to the bar. "Do you have a locker? Somewhere you keep your belongings?" "Yes, but—" "Get them. You're leaving with me. Right now." His tone left no room for argument. "I can't just leave. I'm working. I need this job." "You need to be alive more." Sungmin's eyes held hers. "The moment I confront my bodyguard, everyone in this room becomes either an ally or a target. You just declared which side you're on. So unless you want to find out what happens to witnesses when men like him get desperate, you'll get your things and walk out with me." George's mouth went dry. He was right. She'd inserted herself into something that existed far above her pay grade, into a world where people disappeared for knowing too much. "Okay," she whispered. 60 seconds. She practically ran to the back, ignoring her manager's shouted questions, grabbed her purse and jacket from her locker, and returned to find Sungmin waiting exactly where she'd left him. The drugged drink sat on the bar, untouched. His scarred bodyguard stood 5 feet away, phone pressed to his ear, oblivious to the death sentence he'd just earned. "Ready?" Sungmin asked. Georgia nodded, not trusting her voice. He placed a hand on the small of her back, warm through the thin fabric of her uniform, and guided her toward the exit. They were 10 feet from the door when the scarred bodyguard looked up, saw them leaving together, saw Sungmin's untouched drink on the bar, and understood. The man's face went white, then red. His hand moved toward his jacket, toward a gun, Georgia realized with ice-cold clarity. But Sungmin was faster. One moment they were walking, the next Sungmin had pushed Georgia behind him and drawn his own weapon with the fluid grace of someone who'd done it 1,000 times. "Don't," Sungmin said softly, gun trained on his bodyguard's chest. The lounge erupted into chaos, screaming, running, expensive alcohol shattering as people dove for cover. But Sungmin remained perfectly calm, a still point in the storm. "Jong-ho, I trusted you. My father trusted your family." Jong-ho, the scarred bodyguard, kept his hand frozen near his weapon. "They have my sister," he said, voice cracking. "The Cheongryong. They said they'd kill her if I didn't. So you chose to kill me instead?" Sungmin's expression remained neutral, but Georgia heard the betrayal underneath. "How much did they pay you, Jong-ho? What's the price of 10 years of loyalty?" "I'm sorry," Jong-ho whispered. "I'm so sorry, Hyung-nim." "So am I." Sungmin shifted his aim slightly and fired. The shot took Jong-ho in the shoulder, spinning him back into a table that collapsed under his weight. Not fatal, deliberately not fatal. "You'll live long enough to lead me to them, to tell me everything, and then we'll see about getting your sister back." He lowered the gun and turned to Georgia, who stood frozen in shock. "Can you walk?" Georgia nodded numbly. She'd never seen anyone shot before, never been close to that kind of violence. Her ears rang from the gunshot, and she could smell gunpowder mixed with expensive cologne. Sungmin took her hand, his was steady while hers trembled, and led her out into the Los Angeles night. A black SUV waited at the curb, engine running. The driver's door opened and a woman emerged. Korean, early 30s, beautiful in a dangerous way, with calculating eyes that swept over Georgia with instant assessment. Problem? She asked Sungmin in Korean. He responded in the same language, rapid-fire words Georgia couldn't understand. The woman's eyes widened, then narrowed with rage. She barked something that sounded like orders, and Sungmin nodded. Then he opened the back door and helped Georgia inside. Whack here, where are we going? Georgia asked as Sungmin slid in beside her, and the woman drove away from the velvet room, away from police sirens already wailing in the distance, away from her job and normal life and everything safe. Somewhere secure. Sungmin was typing rapidly on his phone, face illuminated by the screen's glow. I need to contain this situation before it spreads, and you need to stay alive while I do it. I didn't sign up for this, Georgia said, hearing the hysteria creeping into her voice. I just told you about the drink. I didn't think... You saved my life, Sungmin interrupted, looking up from his phone. Which means you're now under my protection, whether you signed up for it or not. His expression softened slightly. I know you're scared. I'm sorry you got dragged into this. But Georgia, the Cheongryong, the rival organization that paid Jong Ho, they're not going to let a witness walk away. You saw their operative. You compromised their attempt. That makes you a loose end. A loose end, Georgia repeated flatly. You mean someone they'll kill? Yes. At least he was honest. Unless I make it very clear that touching you means war, which I'm about to do. The SUV pulled into an underground parking garage, descending level after level until they reached a section that looked more like a bunker than parking. Armed men, and they were definitely armed, no pretense here, stood at attention as they passed. The woman driver pulled into a spot near a private elevator, killed the engine, and turned to face them. This is Lee Da-yun, Sungmin said, gesturing to the driver. My head of security, the only person besides family I trust completely. He said something to Da-eun in Korean, and she nodded curtly before exiting the vehicle. She doesn't like me, Georgia observed. She doesn't like anyone. Sungmin's lips quirked in something almost like a smile. But she's excellent at her job, which is keeping me alive. Come, we need to get you somewhere safe while I deal with this. The elevator required both a key card and fingerprint scan. It rose smoothly, opening directly into a penthouse that looked like something from an architecture magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, lights stretching to the horizon. The decor was minimalist. Expensive furniture in blacks and grays, abstract art that probably cost six figures. Everything sleek and modern and intimidating. Make yourself comfortable, Sungmin said, shrugging out of his jacket. The movement revealed a shoulder holster and the gun that had shot Jong Ho. There's food in the kitchen, guest rooms down the hall. You're safe here. For how long? Georgia asked. How long before I can go home? Go back to my life? Sungmin's expression turned regretful. I don't know. The Cheongryong are persistent, powerful. This attempted assassination means they're ready to move against my family's operations. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Your family's operations, Georgia repeated. Which are what exactly? Because you're clearly not just some businessman who happened to get targeted. No, Sungmin agreed. I'm not. He moved to the bar, poured 2 glasses of whiskey, expensive, judging by the bottle, and handed one to Georgia. I run the Ham family's interests in Los Angeles. Import-export, real estate, entertainment ventures. All legitimate businesses. He paused. Built on foundations that aren't. The Korean Mafia, Georgia said flatly. We prefer organized business syndicate. But yes, my grandfather started the Ham clan in Busan after the war. My father expanded to America in the 80s. I inherited control 3 years ago when he retired. Sungmin sipped his whiskey, eyes never leaving hers. So now you know what you've stepped into. A war between criminal organizations where witnesses become collateral damage. I'm sorry, Georgia. If I could undo your involvement, I would. Georgia drank her whiskey in one burning gulp. Can't you just pay them off? Tell them I don't know anything? Doesn't work that way. The attempt on my life was a declaration. They're challenging my control, my territory. If I show weakness, if I let them dictate terms, I'm as good as dead anyway. Along with everyone loyal to my family, he refilled her glass without asking. The only way forward is through. I confront them, make it clear that you're under ham protection, and eliminate enough of their leadership that they think twice about trying again. Eliminate, Georgia echoed. You mean kill? Yes. No hesitation, no apology, just cold fact. Georgia should have been terrified, should have demanded he call the police, or let her go, or something other than calmly discussing murder in a penthouse that probably cost more than she'd earn in her lifetime. Instead, she found herself asking, why did you trust Yong Ho, your bodyguard? He betrayed you, but you seemed hurt, not just angry. Sungmin's jaw tightened. Jong Ho's father saved my father's life 30 years ago. Took a bullet meant for him during a territorial dispute. Our families have been bound since then. Jong Ho and I trained together, fought together. He was supposed to be at my wedding. He stopped, realizing what he'd said. Was supposed to be? Georgia caught the past tense. The engagement ended. Mutual decision. Sungmin's tone discouraged further questions. Point is, Yong Ho was family, or I thought he was. Turns out loyalty has a price, and the Cheongryong found it. Before Georgia could respond, Sungmin's phone erupted with calls. He answered in rapid Korean, expression darkening with each conversation. When he finally hung up, he turned to Georgia with grim determination. They have Jong Ho's sister, he said, confirmed, which means he was telling the truth. They forced his hand. But it also means they're holding her as leverage, waiting to see what I do next. So what do you do next? I get her back, and I make them regret ever thinking they could manipulate my people. Sungmin moved toward a painting on the wall, abstract splashes of red and black, and pressed a hidden panel. The painting swung open to reveal a gun safe containing enough weaponry to outfit a small army. Stay here. Dayun will be outside. Don't open the door for anyone else. Wait. Georgia stood, crossing to him before she could second-guess the impulse. You're going to war because your bodyguard got blackmailed? I'm going to war because they attacked what's mine. Jong Ho betrayed me, but his sister is innocent. And more importantly, if I let them take my people without consequence, I might as well hand over my territory now. He selected a handgun, checked the magazine with practiced efficiency. This is who I am, Georgia. This is the world you stumbled into. I don't expect you to understand or approve. I don't, Georgia admitted, but I also don't think you should go alone. Sungmin actually laughed, short and humorless. You're a civilian, a waitress. What exactly do you think you contribute to a raid on an enemy stronghold? I'm a waitress, Georgia agreed, which means I'm invisible. People like you look through people like me every day. I could get into places your armed guards never could. Even as she said it, she couldn't believe the words coming from her mouth. Was she really volunteering for this insanity? No. Sungmin's refusal was immediate and absolute. You've done enough. You saved my life. I won't repay that by getting you killed. And if I just sit here while you're out there, what happens if you don't come back? Do I stay locked in this penthouse forever? Do I just wait? Georgia stepped closer, close enough to see gold flecks in those dark eyes. You said I'm under your protection. Well, maybe your protection is under me, too. Something shifted in Sungmin's expression. Surprise, maybe, or reluctant respect. You're either very brave or very stupid. My mama always said it was both. Georgia managed a shaky smile. Look, I'm scared out of my mind, but I'm also not the kind of person who hides while other people fight my battles. So either take me with you or tie me to a chair, because I'm not sitting this out. Sungmin studied her for a long moment. Then he moved back to the gun safe and pulled out a smaller weapon, a compact pistol that fit easily in George's hand. Ever fired a gun? Shooting range, few times with my ex. I'm not great, but I know the basics. Basics might keep you alive. He moved behind her, adjusting her grip, his body warm against her back. Safety here. Aim center mass. Don't hesitate if you have to shoot. His breath stirred her hair. But Georgia, if I tell you to run, you run. No arguments. No heroics. Understood? Understood, Georgia whispered, hyper-aware of every point where their bodies touched. Sungmin stepped back, and the loss of contact felt like cold water. We leave in 20 minutes. Change into something dark and practical. There should be clothes in the guest room that'll fit. He paused at the doorway. Thank you for caring about people you don't even know. Not many people in my world have that quality left. In my world either, Georgia said softly. But he was already gone, leaving her alone with a loaded gun and the certainty that her life would never be the same. The raid started with Georgia walking into a warehouse in an industrial section of LA that looked abandoned. She wore black jeans, a dark hoodie Daon had provided, and an earpiece that crackled with Sungmin's voice. You're doing great. Just keep walking. Look lost. Look lost wasn't hard. Georgia felt lost, wandering into enemy territory with a gun hidden beneath her hoodie and a plan that seemed insane even by tonight's standards. But Sungmin had been right about one thing. The two guards at the warehouse entrance barely glanced at her. Just another black woman in the wrong neighborhood, probably homeless or high, not worth their attention. I'm inside, Georgia whispered once she cleared the entrance. The interior was cavernous, lit by flickering industrial lights, filled with stacked crates and the smell of motor oil and something chemical she couldn't identify. Good. Head toward the back. There should be stairs leading down. That's where they're keeping her. Georgia moved through the shadows, heart hammering so hard she was sure someone would hear it. She passed more guards, Korean men with visible weapons who talked quietly in their language, smoking cigarettes and checking phones with the bored demeanor of people doing a tedious job. She found the stairs, descended into a fluorescent-lit basement corridor that smelled of mildew and fear. Voices drifted from a room at the end, angry, arguing. Georgia crept closer until she could peer through a crack in the door. Jung-ho's sister, she assumed, sat zip-tied to a chair, bruised but alive. Two men stood over her, one holding a phone filming her terrified face. Insurance, Georgia realized. Proof of life for Jung-ho. Proof of leverage against Sungmin. How many? Sungmin's voice crackled in her ear. 2. Armed, plus the hostage. Georgia's hand found the gun. I can't take them both. You don't have to. You just need to get her attention. Make enough noise that they investigate. We'll handle the rest. Georgia took a breath, then knocked loudly on a pipe running along the corridor ceiling. The metallic clang echoed. Inside the room, conversation stopped. Footsteps approached. She pressed herself against the wall, gun raised with shaking hands as the door opened, and one guard emerged. He saw her the same moment she fired. The shot went wide. Panic made her aim terrible. But the noise brought chaos. The second guard burst out, and Georgia ran, sprinting back toward the stairs as gunfire erupted behind her. She made it halfway up before someone grabbed her ankle, sending her crashing down. Her head cracked against concrete. Stars exploded across her vision. Through the haze, she saw the guard looming over her, gun raised to finish this. Then his head snapped back, blood spraying, and he collapsed. Behind him stood Sungmin, weapon still raised, eyes blazing with controlled fury. Are you hurt? He pulled Georgia to her feet, hands running over her, quickly checking for injuries. When he found blood on her temple, his expression turned murderous. I'm okay, Georgia gasped. The hostage. Dayun has her. We need to move. Now. More gunfire echoed from above, Sungmin's team engaging the warehouse guards. He kept one hand on Georgia's arm, half dragging her up the stairs and through the chaos. They emerged into carnage. Bodies littered the floor, some moving, most not. Da-un stood over Yong-ho's sister, who sobbed with relief. And in the center of it all, kneeling with hands zip-tied, was an older Korean man Georgia recognized from somewhere. The man from the lounge, she breathed. He was at your table, with Jong-ho. Park Dong-hyun, Sungmin confirmed. Chung-ryong underboss, the one who orchestrated this whole thing. He approached the kneeling man, whose arrogant smile had been replaced by naked fear. You made a mistake, Dong-hyun. You touched what's mine. The girl saw nothing, Dong-hyun said quickly in English, glancing at Georgia. She's a civilian. Let her go, and we can negotiate. Negotiate? Sungmin's laugh was ice. You tried to assassinate me, kidnapped an innocent woman, turned one of my most trusted men into a traitor. And you think we're negotiating? He switched to Korean, words harsh and rapid, and Georgia watched Dong-hyun's face drain of color. Sungmin, Daeun called. Police scanner. We have maybe 5 minutes. Sungmin nodded, then turned back to Dong-hyun. You're going to send a message to your bosses. Tell them the Ham clan is not to be touched. Tell them that anyone who threatens my people, any of my people, will face the same fate. Starting with you. You can't kill me, Dong-hyun gasped. I'm protected. Kill me and you start a war. The war started when you put poison in my drink. Sungmin raised his gun. Georgia looked away, but she heard the shot, heard the heavy thump of a body hitting concrete. When she looked back, Sungmin was walking toward her, holstering his weapon like he just finished a business meeting. Let's go home, he said quietly, taking her hand. The penthouse felt different when they returned, less like an intimidating showcase and more like a sanctuary. Da-eun had taken Jong-ho's sister to a safe house. The rest of Sungmin's team dispersed to clean up evidence and prepare for retaliation that might never come. Georgia gathered that executing an underboss sent a pretty clear message. Sungmin disappeared into a bedroom, emerging minutes later without the blood-spattered dress shirt, wearing only dark slacks and a white t-shirt that revealed the full extent of his tattoos. The dragon on his neck continued down his shoulder and arm in intricate black and gray work. Korean characters covered his ribs. It was beautiful and terrifying, a map of violence written on skin. Let me see your head, he said, approaching with a first aid kit. Georgia sat on the couch, letting him examine the cut on her temple. His fingers were surprisingly gentle, cleaning the wound with careful precision. You didn't have to kill him, she said quietly. Yes, I did. No apology. He would have kept coming, would have sent others. The only way to stop it was to make the cost too high. His eyes met hers. I know you don't approve. I don't expect you to. But that's the world I live in. Kill or be killed. And Yong-ho, what happens to him? His sister is safe. That was his price. As for him, Sungmin's jaw tightened. He betrayed me, but he did it for family. I understand that even if I can't forgive it. He'll be exiled, sent back to Korea with enough money to start over somewhere far from all of this. His debt to my family is paid with his betrayal. That's almost merciful, George observed. My father would have killed him. Sungmin finished bandaging her cut, but my father also wouldn't have let it get this far. He'd have seen the betrayal coming. I was distracted lately, not paying attention the way I should have been. Distracted by what? Sungmin's eyes held hers. By a beautiful waitress who saved my life and then risked her own to help save someone else's? By wondering what kind of person does that? By wanting to know everything about her? George's breath caught. That's a really bad idea. Probably the worst I've ever had, Sungmin agreed. You're a civilian. I'm a criminal. You should run far away from me and never look back. But Georgia, he cupped her cheek gently. I can't stop thinking about you. Can't stop wanting to know what makes you brave enough to warn a stranger about poison. Can't stop imagining what it would be like to have someone like you in my life. Someone like me? Georgia's voice was barely a whisper. Someone good. Someone who still believes doing the right thing matters. Someone who looks at me and sees a person instead of a title or a threat. His thumb brushed across her lower lip. Someone I could maybe become better for. Georgia should have pulled away, should have demanded he take her home, should have recognized this for what it was, adrenaline and proximity and the dangerous intimacy of shared trauma. Instead, she found herself leaning into his touch. I work at a cocktail lounge making $8 an hour plus tips. I live in a one-bedroom apartment in Inglewood with my best friend Nessa. I have student loans from a nursing degree I never finished and a mama who would lose her mind if she knew where I was right now. I run a criminal empire, Sungmin countered. I've killed 17 people. I'll never have a normal life, never be safe, never be anything but dangerous to anyone who gets close to me. Your mama would be right to lose her mind. So this is a terrible idea, Georgia said. The absolute worst, Sungmin agreed. We should stop. Right now. Before it goes any further. We absolutely should. Neither of them moved. The space between them felt electric, charged with everything unspoken. Georgia could feel his breath on her lips, could see his pulse jumping in his throat, could sense the razor's edge of control he was maintaining. If I kiss you, Sungmin said softly, I won't be able to let you go. I'll want more. I'll want everything. And I'll do whatever it takes to keep you, even if it's selfish, even if it's wrong. If you kiss me, Georgia whispered back, I'll let you, even though I know better, even though this is going to end badly, even though you're literally the last person I should want. Last chance to run, Sungmin murmured, lips a breath away from hers. I'm terrible at running, Georgia said, and closed the distance between them. The kiss ignited something desperate in both of them. Sungmin's hands tangled in her hair while Georgia clutched at his shirt, pulling him closer, needing more. He tasted like whiskey and danger, and promises she knew he couldn't keep. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against hers. This is going to complicate everything, he said. I know. You're going to see things you can't unsee, know things you can't unknown, be tied to a world you should stay far away from. I know that too. And you still want this? Want me? Georgia pulled back enough to meet his eyes. I spent tonight getting shot at in a warehouse to save someone I never met. I watched you kill a man. I should be traumatized and terrified and running for my life. Instead, I'm here, kissing you, knowing exactly what you are. So yeah, I still want this. I still want you. God help me. Sungmin's smile was slow and devastating. Then God help us both. 3 months passed in a blur. Georgia moved into the penthouse, officially for protection, unofficially because neither of them could stand being apart. She kept her job at the Velvet Room, despite Sungmin's offer to support her financially. I need something that's mine, she'd insisted. Something normal in all this insanity. He'd understood, even assigned discreet security to watch her shifts. Georgia had protested until 2 drunk bankers got aggressive, and her security detail had them out the door before they could lay a hand on her. After that, she grudgingly accepted the protection. Life with Sungmin was intoxicating and terrifying in equal measure. He introduced her to his world slowly, business meetings that were actually negotiations between criminal factions, charity galas that laundered money as donations, dinners with men whose smiles hid body counts. But he also showed her tenderness she'd never experienced. Breakfast in bed, handwritten notes in Korean that Da-eun translated with rolled eyes. Late nights on the balcony where he taught her his language, and she taught him about her life before him. Tell me about nursing school, Sungmin said one night, lying with his head in her lap while she ran fingers through his hair. Why did you quit? Georgia sighed. Money. Mama got sick. Breast cancer. I was working 2 jobs and going to school full time, but the medical bills kept coming. Had to choose between her treatment and my education. Not really a choice at all. She's okay now. In remission. 3 years clean. Georgia smiled. Toughest woman I know. Single mom. worked herself to the bone to give me opportunities. She'd absolutely murder me if she knew what I was doing now. Have you told her about me? I told her I'm seeing someone. Left out the organized crime part. George's fingers traced the tattoo on his neck. What does your family think? About us? Something shifted in Sung Min's expression. My father, Isur, disapproves. Says I should marry within the Korean community. Someone from a good family with connections that benefit our operations. Someone who understands our world. Someone not black, Georgia said flatly. That's part of it, Sung Min admitted, but also someone not civilian. Someone who wouldn't be a liability. He's old-fashioned, traditional. Thinks I'm being reckless. Are you? Absolutely. He sat up, turning to face her. But Georgia, I don't care. For the first time in my life, I'm choosing what I want instead of what I should want. And I want you. My father will adjust or he won't, but it doesn't change anything. And if it causes problems, division in your organization, then I'll handle it. His hand found hers. You're not getting rid of me that easily. I told you. I don't let go of what's mine. The possessiveness should have bothered her. Instead, it sent warmth flooding through her chest. Yours, huh? Mine, he confirmed. Unless you have objections. Just one, Georgia said, pulling him back down. You're mine too. His smile against her lips was answer enough. The trouble started on a Tuesday. Georgia was working the early shift at the Velvet Room when 3 Korean men walked in. Expensive suits, aggressive posture, eyes that swept the space like they owned it. Her security detail tensed immediately. One of the men approached the bar where Georgia was restocking. You're Georgia Price. Not a question. Georgia's pulse kicked up. I'm working. Unless you're ordering, you need to leave. We're here with a message for Ham Sung Min. The man's English was perfect, accent American despite Korean features. Tell him his father wants to meet, discuss his recent choices. Georgia's stomach dropped. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't insult us both. The man smiled without warmth. Everyone knows you're his woman. Tell him, dinner tomorrow night, 8 p.m., the garden. If he doesn't show, there will be consequences. He left before Georgia could respond. She immediately texted Sung Min, fingers shaking. Within 10 minutes, Daun appeared to escort her home. Boss wants you at the penthouse. Now. Sung Min was waiting when they arrived, pacing like a caged animal. Are you okay? Did they touch you? I'm fine. They just delivered a message. Georgia repeated the invitation, or threat, really. Who are they? My father's men. The garden is his restaurant, neutral territory. Sung Min's jaw clenched. He's making a power play, forcing a confrontation in front of witnesses. So don't go. Tell him to back off. Can't. Refusing a direct summons from the clan head is an insult that demands response. If I don't show, he'll see it as weakness. We'll have justification to move against me. Move against you how? Remove me from power. Install someone more compliant. Traditional. Sung Min moved to the window, staring out at the city. I knew this was coming. Knew eventually he'd force my hand. I just hoped for more time. Time for what? To build enough support that he couldn't move against me without splitting the family. He turned to face her. Georgia, this meeting, he's going to demand I end things with you. Make me choose between you and my position. Ice flooded Georgia's veins. What are you going to choose? You. No hesitation. Always you. But that means war. Civil war within the Ham clan. Blood in the streets. Everything my grandfather built potentially destroyed. Then you can't choose me, Georgia said, even as her heart shattered. Sung Min, I won't be the reason your family tears itself apart. I won't let you sacrifice everything for the woman I love. He crossed to her, taking her face in his hands. Georgia, I love you. I should have said it sooner, but I love you more than power or position or my father's approval. If he makes me choose, I choose you. Every time. Tears spilled down Georgia's cheeks. You can't. There has to be another way. There isn't. Not with my father. Sungmin's expression turned determined. But I'm not going down without a fight. I've been building alliances, calling in favors. Tomorrow night, when he demands I let you go, I'm going to tell him no. And then we'll see who the clan follows, tradition or the future. And if they follow tradition, then we run, disappear, start over somewhere he can't reach. His thumbs brushed away her tears. I've already made arrangements, money in offshore accounts, new identities, a house in New Zealand under an LLC. If this goes badly, we can be on a plane within hours. You'd give up everything? Your empire? Your life here? Everything you've built? In a heartbeat. His smile was soft, devastating. Georgia, you saved my life that first night. But every day since, you've given me a reason to want to live it. Before you, I was just going through motions, doing what was expected. Now I actually want things, want a future that's mine, not just my father's legacy. If that future has to be in New Zealand or Timbuktu or the middle of nowhere, I'm okay with that. As long as you're there. Georgia kissed him with everything she had, love and fear and desperate hope mixed together. I love you too, she whispered against his lips. So much it scares me. Be scared with me, Sungmin murmured back. Tomorrow, when I face my father. Be there. Let him see what he's asking me to give up. Are you sure that's smart? No, but I want him to know. Want everyone to know. This isn't just some fling. You're my future, my choice, and I'm not hiding it anymore. The garden was exactly what it sounded like. An upscale Korean restaurant built around an interior courtyard with a koi pond and cherry trees. Georgia had never been somewhere so beautiful or so terrifying. Every person present was clearly part of the Ham organization. Men in expensive suits, women dripping diamonds. All of them watching as Sungmin entered with Georgia on his arm. They're staring, Georgia whispered. Let them. Sungmin's hand tightened on hers. You're the most beautiful woman here. They should stare. Sungmin's father sat at the head table, older version of his son, with the same sharp features but harder eyes. Cold eyes that assessed Georgia like she was a problem to be solved. Next to him sat an older Korean woman, elegant and regal, who Georgia assumed was Sungmin's mother. Abeoji, Sungmin greeted his father with a formal bow. You wanted to meet. Sit. Ham Jae-sung gestured to empty chairs. His eyes never left Georgia. So, this is the woman causing such complications. This is Georgia Price, Sungmin said evenly. The woman I love. Silence fell across the restaurant. Georgia felt every eye boring into her, judging, calculating. She lifted her chin, refusing to show how terrified she was. You embarrass our family, Jae-sung said, switching to Korean, parading a black woman in front of our people like some trophy. Have you forgotten who you are? What you represent? I haven't forgotten anything, Sungmin replied in English, clearly for Georgia's benefit. And she's not a trophy. She's the woman who saved my life, who's loyal and brave and everything I could want in a partner. Partner, Jae-sung spat the word. She's a waitress, a nobody. She brings nothing to our family. No connections, no power, no benefit except warming your bed. Careful, Sungmin's voice went dangerous. You're talking about the woman I plan to marry. That caused an uproar. Voices erupted in Korean, shocked and angry. Jae-sung's face turned purple. Only Sungmin's mother remained calm, studying Georgia with shrewd eyes. You will not marry this woman, Jae-sung said when order restored. I forbid it. You will end this relationship immediately. Marry the girl I've chosen, Park Min-young from the Park Syndicate, and restore honor to our family. No, Sungmin said simply. No? Jae-sung stood, trembling with rage. I am your father, head of this clan. You will obey. I'm done obeying. Sungmin stood as well, pulling Georgia up with him. I've spent my entire life doing what you wanted. Took over operations when you wanted to retire, expanded territory, increased profits, built legitimate businesses to protect our interests. And it's never enough. You'll never see me as anything but an extension of yourself. Because that's what you are. My son, my heir, my legacy. I'm also my own person. And I choose Georgia. If that means stepping down, giving up my position, I'll do it. But I won't give her up. Not for you, not for anyone. Jae-sung's face went cold. Then you're no son of mine. I strip you of your position. You are cast out from the Ham clan. And her, he pointed at Georgia with contempt. She is marked. Anyone loyal to me knows she is not to be protected. Horror flooded Georgia. Being marked meant she was a target. Fair game for anyone who wanted to curry favor with Jae-sung. She saw realization hit Sungmin at the same moment, saw him calculate the danger. You'd put a death mark on an innocent woman because you disapprove of my choice? Sungmin's voice was steel. That's who you are now? That's who I've always been. Jae-sung moved to the exit. You have until sunrise. Then every Ham soldier will be hunting her. Choose wisely, boy. The girl or your life. He left with half the restaurant following. But Georgia noticed. Not everyone left. Da-eun remained. Several younger men stayed seated. And Sungmin's mother approached them, expression unreadable. Well, she said in perfect English, that went about as badly as expected. She turned to Georgia. I'm Lee Mi-sun, Sungmin's mother. And you, my dear, have caused quite the upheaval. I'm sorry, Georgia stammered. I never meant... Don't apologize. Mi-sun's smile was sharp. I've been waiting for my son to finally stand up to his father, though I wish the catalyst had been something less complicated. She studied Georgia assessingly. But I see why he chose you. You have steel in you. Good. You'll need it. Mrs. Ham, Mi-sun, please. If you're going to marry my son, we should be on a first-name basis. She glanced at Sungmin. You're leaving the country. Tonight, he confirmed. New Zealand. I have everything arranged. Smart. Mi-sun pulled an envelope from her purse. These are account numbers. Offshore accounts your father doesn't know about. My own money, separate from clan holdings, should keep you comfortable until you establish new operations. At their shocked expressions, she laughed. What? You think I didn't have escape plans? I've been married to that man for 35 years. I know exactly what he's capable of. Come with us, Sungmin said suddenly. Mom, come with us. Leave him. Tempting, Mi-sun admitted. But no, someone needs to stay and clean up this mess. Someone needs to make sure the clan doesn't tear itself apart. That's me. She cupped Sungmin's face affectionately. But you go. Build something better. Love this woman who makes you brave enough to defy your father. And maybe, she glanced at Georgia with a meaningful smile. Give me grandchildren someday. Make sure they know both sides of their heritage. Georgia felt tears burning her eyes. Thank you, she whispered. Don't thank me yet. The next few hours will be dangerous. Your father's loyal men will be mobilizing now. You need to disappear before they lock down the airports. Already in motion, Da-eun said, appearing at their side. Private plane fueled and waiting. Cars out back. We can be wheels up in 90 minutes if we leave now. We? Sungmin looked at his head of security. You think I'm staying with that dinosaur? Da-eun scoffed. I'm loyal to you, boss. Always have been. New Zealand sounds nice. Weather's better anyway. Sungmin's laugh was half sob. Okay, let's do this. The escape was a blur of adrenaline and fear. Racing through LA streets with Da-eun, driving like a maniac. A private airport where men with guns hurried them onto a small jet. Sungmin on his phone the entire time. Barking orders in Korean, liquidating assets and calling in final favors. Georgia watched Los Angeles disappear beneath them as the plane climbed, lights spreading to the horizon. Somewhere down there was her mama, her best friend Nessa, her life. She'd left a voicemail, brief, vague, saying she had to leave, that she was okay, that she loved them. It would have to be enough. Hey, Sungmin said softly, taking her hand. You okay? I just left everything I know. George's voice broke. My family, my friends, my entire life. For a man I've known 3 months. I know, and I'm sorry. If there was any other way, there isn't. Georgia squeezed his hand. I know that. Doesn't make it easier. But Sungmin, I meant what I said. I love you. Even if it's crazy. Even if it's fast. Even if every rational part of my brain is screaming that this is insane. It is insane, Sungmin agreed. But maybe that's what real love is. Choosing someone even when it costs you everything. Being willing to lose everything except them. Your mother liked me, Georgia said, changing the subject before she started crying. She did, which terrifies me, honestly. My mother doesn't like anyone. Sungmin managed a smile. But you impressed her, standing there while my father tore into us, not backing down. She respects strength. I was shaking the whole time. So was I. He pulled her close. But we did it. We chose each other. And now we get to build something new. Something that's ours, not our families or traditions or anyone else's. Dayun appeared from the cockpit. Boss, problem. Sungmin was up immediately. What kind of problem? Your father. He's activated everyone, every ham soldier, every ally, every asset. And he's offering $10 million to whoever brings you back, dead or alive. The price stole George's breath. $10 million. That kind of money made even loyalty negotiable. Can we make it to New Zealand before word spreads? Sungmin asked. Maybe, but boss, 10 million, that's enough to tempt anyone. We need to assume everyone is compromised. Everyone except us. Sungmin nodded grimly. Change of plans, don't head to New Zealand. Too obvious. He'll have people waiting. He thought for a moment. South Korea, Jeju Island. I have contacts there separate from the family. We can disappear, figure out next moves. Korea? Georgia asked. Isn't that more dangerous? It's his home turf. Which is exactly why he won't expect it. He thinks we'd run as far as possible. We go to ground right in his backyard until things cool down. Then we disappear for real. It was either brilliant or suicidal. Georgia couldn't decide which. But she nodded, trusting him, trusting this insane plan because what choice did they have? Jeju Island was beautiful, volcanic beaches, lush countryside, resort towns catering to tourists. They landed at a private airstrip where a car waited, driving them to a small house tucked into hills overlooking the sea. Remote, defensible, stocked with enough supplies for a siege. How long do we stay here? Georgia asked, standing on the porch watching waves crash against black rocks. Until my father calls off the hit, or I figure out how to neutralize it. Sungmin wrapped arms around her from behind. Could be days, could be months. You okay with that? Do I have a choice? No, he admitted, but I wanted to ask anyway. They settled into a strange routine. Days spent planning, Sungmin on encrypted calls, building new alliances and gathering intelligence. Nights spent wrapped around each other, taking comfort in physical connection when words failed. Dayun stood guard, rotating shifts with a small team of loyalists who'd followed Sungmin into exile. 2 weeks passed, then a month. Ham Jae-sung didn't call off the hit. If anything, he escalated, raised the bounty to 15 million, spread word through every criminal network in the Pacific. Sungmin became one of the most wanted men in the underworld, and Georgia was marked as his weakness. We can't live like this forever, Georgia said one night, watching Sungmin clean weapons at the kitchen table, always looking over our shoulders, never safe. I know, his voice was tired. I'm working on it, trying to find leverage against my father, something to force him to back down. And if you can't find it, then we keep running, change identities, move every few months, live off the grid. He met her eyes. It's not the life I wanted to give you. It's the life we have. Georgia moved to him, taking his hands. And honestly, I'd rather have this, hiding with you, being hunted, than safe and comfortable with anyone else. That's how messed up I am now. Sungmin's laugh was soft and broken. We're quite a pair, aren't we? The mafia boss and the waitress, running from his father, hiding on an island. It's like a bad melodrama. I prefer to think of it as a love story, Georgia said. Just a really complicated one. Georgia? Sungmin stood, pulling her close. When this is over, if it's ever over, will you marry me? Not as a strategic move or a point to prove, just because I can't imagine spending my life with anyone else. Is that a proposal? It's a terrible proposal, he admitted. No ring, no plan, no idea if we'll survive the week, but it's real, and I mean it. Then yes, Georgia said, pulling him down for a kiss. You ridiculous, dangerous, impossible man. Yes. The attack came at dawn. Georgia woke to gunfire and Sungmin throwing her to the floor, covering her body with his. Da-eun was shouting in Korean, returning fire from behind overturned furniture. The house's windows shattered inward. How many? Sungmin yelled. At least 10. Professional team. Someone gave up our location. Back exit. Go. Now. They crawled through the house toward the rear door, glass cutting Georgia's hands, smoke burning her lungs from something on fire. They made it outside and into the trees just as the house exploded. Actual explosion, fireball rising into dawn sky. Sungmin pushed Georgia behind a boulder, then turned to return fire at shapes emerging from smoke. Da-eun was beside him, coordinated and deadly. Georgia watched men fall, watched the violence she'd thought she'd left behind in LA play out on this beautiful island. And then silence. Bodies littered the ground. The house burned. Da-eun was down, bleeding from her shoulder but alive. And Sungmin stood in the center of it all, weapon lowered, expression devastated. It's over, he said quietly. We can't keep doing this. Can't keep running. Eventually someone will get lucky, and you'll die because of me. Sungmin? No, Georgia, I love you. But I can't watch you die. Can't keep putting you in danger because my father is a stubborn, prideful old man who'd rather kill his son than admit he's wrong. He holstered his gun with finality. There's only one way this ends. I have to go back. Face him. End this. That's suicide. He'll kill you. Maybe. Or maybe I kill him first. Either way, it's over, and you'll be safe. He cupped her face gently. That's all that matters. That you're safe. Georgia grabbed his shirt, holding on desperately. Don't you dare play the martyr. We're in this together. You saved my life that first night, Sungmin said softly. Let me save yours now. Let me make sure you get the future you deserve, even if I can't be part of it. Stop. Just stop. Tears streamed down Georgia's face. I don't want a future without you. I don't want to be safe if it means losing you. We find another way. There is no other way. Then make one, Georgia shouted. You're Ham Sungmin. You run a criminal empire. You have resources and power and people who are loyal to you. Use that. Build something new. Become stronger than your father. But don't you dare give up. Don't you dare leave me. Sungmin stared at her, something shifting behind his eyes. Then he pulled out his phone, started dialing with purpose. Da-eun, can you walk? I can fight, she gritted out. Good, because we're not running anymore. Sungmin's expression turned hard, determined. We're going to war.